I'm EXO, and did you know that the retro EXO projects have a wiki? Because I tend to forget too. So I thought I should do a video about a fairly forgotten aspect of our projects that is actually really useful and could use more volunteers to help with. Let me pull it up over here. We're going to jump in, and this is at wiki.retro-exo.com. When you come in here, you'll see a list of our current projects, future projects, the history of the project, some media about it, technical information, game-specific projects. This is where we try to document everything. It's all public too, and it's not something that I have linked very often. We were building it, and then we got busy working on version 6, and I just kind of forgot to advertise it to anybody, unless you were on the Discord server at the time. It does have links here to the main website, the YouTube channel, which clearly you have found already, a Discord invite link, and to our GitHub. For those of you not aware, we do use GitHub to track all of our bugs and game submissions, enhancements. Now, we don't expect our users to use the GitHub directly. They are welcome to if they want to try. But if you go to Discord, we do have bug report channels. And if you go into those channels, you can file a bug report, and our staff will take it, work through it, and then if it's a legit bug, they'll post it over to the GitHub for you. And then at that point, I see it, and I begin working on it. We have our current projects. You can see here, Exodus version 5 came out back on Halloween of 2020, and at the time only had 7,200 games. Version 6, as I've said before, has 7,635 games. That 435 games is not a ton, but it is the beginning of a mass scrape of the TDC project, Total DOS Collection, to bring in all the weird little shareware they have. That said, about 30 to 40, maybe even 50 of those games are commercial releases that were missing before that we have found. So it's not all junk. No, kidding. None of it's junk. But there are some shareware titles in there that, another Baccarat game, another Euchre game. But there are 35 to 40 games that are actually really, really high quality commercial games that were missing prior to this release. You got the EXO-Win3X, EXO-Scum VM, the RLP. People ask about that one sometimes. The Retro Learning Project was a pack we put out back at the beginning of the pandemic. And the idea was it was 666 games. I'm sorry, 667 games. I had to add one to make sure that people didn't think I was pulling a fast one on them there. And it was all the educational games from DOS and Win3X combined into a pack, because we had a lot of kids that were at lockdown at home. And I figured what better thing to do at that time than play Carmen Sandiego or go on the Oregon Trail. And these were games that were, I've said this before, if you want to play the original Oregon Trail, good luck. You cannot legitimately buy that game and play it on a modern system. You can probably get on eBay and find an old Apple II copy or maybe even a DOS copy. But then it's on you to image that, to dump it and get it running again. There are some more modern versions that are out there, but I mean, for me, the nostalgia playing the original is a lot of the fun. We got the history here that goes into it. Under media, you can see different articles that have been written about the project or interviews I've done. This includes a really great article that came out in 2019 that Kotaku did about the project and my input to it. There's another one I need to get added here. RGB added a really great article talking about the technical background of our project that we need to get linked in here. And below that, for people that either are new to DOS, want to know more about it, or know a ton about it and just want to see if they can add more information to the wiki, we get into, what is 3D effects, the sound cards, the video modes. And when you come into like video modes here, you've got, it's going to talk about monochrome, Hercules, CGA. Now, these are all things you can look up on regular Wikipedia, but you'll get 5 pages talking about CGA graphics. The point of this wiki is to distill that down into just what is important and to really focus on the implementation of it within the IBM infrastructure. If we go back here, we can go over to, let's say, sound cards. And we've got a pretty good little thing going here. You've got, we're talking about the emulated sound cards. including the Innova, which is a relatively new one. We just added that one a few months ago to the pack. And it goes through and it talks about, there's also some fun here. It's not a super dry thing. If you look at the Creative Game Blaster, it's like a sandblaster run through a garbage disposal. I mean, that's my best way of describing it. Now, I don't mean that as an insult. I love the way the Game Blaster sounds. It has a really gritty, crunchy sound to it. I prefer it to some of the early AdLib, actually. So I'm not knocking it when I say garbage disposal, but to me that has a lot more meaning than saying it has this many bits and this is the wavelength modulator of it. I mean, we have some stats on here for sure. Like talking about the OPL2 emulation through the OPL chip and the Yamaha FM chip it's playing and how many bits of PC. There's some information here. But what is more important sometimes is how do they compare? How do they sound? What does it mean? We'll drop back over here again. On the remote multiplayer page, it's going to get in here and talk about the process for remote multiplayer in EXoDOS. Explains the host and client. Explains how to run it on a testing machine using a local IP address. And then we can drop back here again. And we have the actual core systems. The setup file, the installer, the launcher. If you are working on EXoDOS and you want technical details, these are the places to go. Now, these are still based on EXoDOS version 5. Once the project comes out, I'll spend some time updating the wiki to, like the installer page right now is going to talk about, this is the basic stuff. It decompresses the game, it downloads it if it's not present, it will apply updates. None of this changed, but we've added more stuff to it. So I need to add more sections to the new things that happen. Also, this is not going to talk about the fact that we have a global conf file now. So rather than the installer settings per game, which took forever during installation, it now has your global settings file that just kind of come in at the last second. We talk about our metadata, our images, the XML file, our interactive code wheel project, manuals, magazines, music playlists. Our save game transfer is a really cool feature. I need to do a whole video on that. The unique modules. These are each videos. The Goldbox Companion, the All-Seeing Eye, the Ultimapper. We also have our master database. If you click on that, we have a field list here, and this is all the fields that we're tracking. This is a database that I have locally. It has been created initially by scraping sites like Moby Games through their API, but then later adding our own games to it that did not exist, or still do not exist over at Moby Games. We have, from everything I've seen, the largest, most complete DOS games database on the web. Now, TDC technically has more DOS games than we do, but they don't have a database yet. And if they do have one, it's hidden somewhere. I don't know. I say things like that because I'm so used to the answers being this, but the fact of the matter is things change quite often. So who knows? Maybe since last time I talked to them, they've made a database. And if so, I apologize, guys. Kudos to you. Now, that said, our database does track things that the other ones don't. We have everything from which sound cards they all support. Does it have save transfer set up in it? CPU options. Is it got multiplayer? Is that multiplayer hot seat, modem, IPX, or local? Multiplayer game modes, the max number of players, the number of offline, the number of online, number of co-op. We track a lot of stuff in here. We have our game-specific projects. I've done a whole video on EXoWad and EXoCZT. When you click on these, it will show you, it talks about the process, where they came from, what the sections are. The language packs. At this point, it was only a concept. We actually are very close now to the German language pack coming out. And I'll have to see here. It looks like, well, they have done that one. I mean, we're right now we're on packaging phase for the most part. There might be a few test phases still going, but these guys have done a ton of work. So I guess the biggest negative to the wiki is having enough. We don't have anyone to update it, so it's the same people working on the project do the updates. But we are looking for curators for other packs. I need to update this. We recently had 2 people show up that are helping with a Portuguese language pack. The Polish language pack is no longer on hold. That's in full swing, and that one will likely come out either alongside version 6 or very shortly after. Uh, Xavier Velo over at our website on Discord has been amazing. He's not only doing Polish, he's doing Slavic, Polish, and Czech. So that's actually 3 languages in that pack. Really impressive work. And I'm hoping we have some grumblings of maybe someone helping with the Spanish pack. A fellow named Neville has a Spanish DOS pack out there that can be adapted, and we're hoping to find someone that will step in. And we might have the beginnings of a Russian pack as well. If we ever get a Japanese language pack, I'd be happy to, but that's more of a PC 98 thing than a DOS thing. But if someone shows up in our Discord, and I'll put it this way. If someone walked into my Discord today and said they had any language they want to support, they've got our support to do it. We'll give them all the templates and all the infrastructure they need to do it. If someone walked in and said that they want to run a different system, the Acorn, the BBC, the Amiga, we would give them all the infrastructure they need to build a project within the EXO framework, just like ours. At the bottom here, there is a link to the website FAQ, the FAQ. And it's got what are they? How do you get them? Why do some games not have cover art? What is Launchbox? Can I use a different front end? Why are they so big? What if I have a game you're missing? And if you click on that, you'll get, is the game Doom? If so, please leave me alone. Do you realize this is a running joke on the Discord server? It hasn't happened in the last year, or maybe the last 2 years. But prior to that, for some reason, I consistently had people tell me that Doom was not in the pack. Now, I think it has something to do with the fact that the way Launchbox, and I think this was an old thing, I think they fixed it, or maybe I changed the way it sorts, but a capital O sorts differently than a lowercase o. So DOOM, capital, sorted different on the list than capital D, lowercase OOM. I think that's why, but people would come all the time saying, hey, you're missing Doom. And I would always be dumbfounded by that. I mean, how do you think I got 7,000 games into this, and I've been doing it for 15 years, and I missed Doom? I don't know. It was one of those questions that just became a joke. But the other part is that, we do have alternate and regional titles, so sometimes people would say Broken Sword is missing. Well, I use U.S. release names, so you'll see it under, Circle of Death? Circle of Blood? Circle of Blood, I think is what it's called in the United States. But I got Launchbox to add regional names a few years back, and so now we can type in Broken Sword to the alternative naming, and so if you Google that, if you search that in the pack, it will bring up the right game, even if the game's under the US release name. Merging instructions. Are there DATs available for the project? I'm not even getting into that on this video. And can I run them from a network drive? Ultimately, the wiki is here for people that have questions. And if anyone's interested in helping edit the wiki or contributing to it, that's a great place that we have a giant opening right now. It's obviously not going to be easy right off the bat. It requires some research and some understanding of the way things work, but that's also a really great way to get your foot in and understand the projects so that you can possibly, if you want, help in other places. Thank you for sitting with me to take a look at the wiki that we have for the projects. Appreciate your time, as always. Have a good one.